the one-act players present The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Today's adventure, the final adventure.
While I have, over the years, chronicled many cases demonstrating the singular gifts of my friend Sherlock Holmes, I never intended to relate the events surrounding the terrible adventure that ended in such tragedy at Reichenbach Falls. I choose to do so now, not to defend Holmes, whose actions need no defense, but to set straight the perversion of facts as perpetrated in the recent publications of Colonel James Moriarty, who obviously seeks to rehabilitate the reputation of his brother, the criminal mastermind, Professor Moriarty. I alone know the absolute truth of what transpired when Holmes met his archenemy face to face, and will now lay the facts before the public, exactly as they occurred. It may be remembered that after my marriage, Holmes and I saw each other a fair deal less. He still called upon me from time to time when he desired a companion in his investigations, but these occasions grew more and more seldom. During the late winter and early spring of '91, I received 2 notes from Holmes, who was engaged upon a matter of some import on behalf of the French government. From these notes, I gathered his stay in France would be a lengthy one, and so I was quite surprised to see him walk into my study on the evening of April 24th.
Hello, Watson, old friend.
Holmes? What on earth?
I apologize for calling so late.
There is no need. Sit down, you are looking rather pale.
Yes, I have been using myself up rather too freely.
Some brandy.
Would that be your medical advice, Doctor?
Yes, as a matter of fact it is. Pray, take a seat, Holmes.
Have you any objection to my closing your shutters?
None. Is there something wrong?
Also, if you would be so unconventional as to allow me to leave your house by way of your back garden, I would be grateful.
Holmes, sit and explain this peculiar behavior.
Is it so peculiar for a man who fears for his life, Watson?
Certainly not. I am sorry. I did not appreciate the serious nature of this unexpected visit.
I do not wish to bring trouble to this house, my good man, but where else am I to turn?
There is no trouble so great that I would turn away my closest and dearest friend.
You are too kind, Watson. But your wife...
She's away on a visit. I do not expect her back for a fortnight.
Indeed. You are alone.
Quite.
That is fortunate. I'm quite sure that I've not been followed here, but not certain. I've been ducking from darkened doorways and creeping through unlit alleys so that I may remain hidden.
Hidden? Holmes, when have you ever taken to hiding from anything?
Yes, I'm not accustomed to such actions. But in 72 hours, the most challenging and dangerous case of my career will be complete, and the terrible threat against my life a mere memory. Until then, I, and anyone I am in contact with, is in grave danger.
From whom?
You've probably never heard of the mathematician Professor Moriarty.
Never.
That's the genius and wonder of the thing. The man pervades London, and no one has heard of him. For some time now, I've been conscious of some power, some deep organizing force at work in our city. For 2 years I've endeavored to break through the veil which shrouded this mysterious power. At last I came upon a small clue. I seized this thread and followed it until it led me, after 1,000 cunning windings, to Professor Moriarty.
But how could such a man go undetected for so long?
Moriarty is the Napoleon of crime, Watson. He's the organizer of half that is evil and nearly all that is undetected in this great city. He is a genius, a philosopher, an abstract thinker. He sits motionless like a spider in the center of its web, a web with 1,000 cunning windings, and he knows well the quiver of each of its threads. Moriarty does little himself. He only plans, directing his numerous agents like pieces on a chessboard. Should the agent be caught, money appears for his bail or his defense. But the central power which uses this agent is never caught, not so much as suspected. This was the organization I deduced, and which I've devoted all my energy to exposing. You know my powers, Watson. And yet, at the end of 3 months, I was forced to confess that I had met an antagonist who was my intellectual equal. My horror at his crimes was lost in my admiration of his skill. He's wily, Watson. Never have I risen to such heights, and never have I been so hard-pressed by an opponent.
Extraordinary. Go on.
At last, he made a slip. Just a little slip, but it is all I need. Moriarty is planning a seizure of treasury notes to be shipped by train this coming Monday. To thwart such a crime would be of great public service, of course, but that would not net us the mastermind, only more of his pawns. But I am one step ahead of him this time, Watson, for I know that along with the notes in the shipment are items of even greater value, which will be delivered directly to Moriarty himself. Once he has exposed himself as culpable in this matter, the police will arrest him.
You do not wish to confront him?
All my carefully documented research has been placed in Scotland Yard's hands. They know what must be done, and that patience above all else is called for to lure such a sly opponent into our trap.
So you've caught him?
Moriarty knows I am close, Watson, and if he knew exactly how close, he would cancel his plans, and all my work will have been for nothing. I will not jeopardize this opportunity. No, I must lay low until the trap is sprung. Besides, he has already confronted me.
Really?
Yes. After the final details were discussed with Inspector Walker, I returned to Baker Street. I was in my rooms playing the violin, trying to clear my mind so as not to dwell upon how difficult the next 3 days would be, the waiting and inaction, when suddenly the very man who had been so much in my thoughts was standing there on my threshold, peering at me from behind his hooded eyes.
You play quite well, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you.
You evidently don't know me.
On the contrary, Professor Moriarty. Pray, take a chair.
No, thank you.
I can spare you a moment if you have anything you wish to say.
All that I have to say has already crossed your mind.
Then possibly my answers have crossed yours.
Possibly.
If there is nothing else... Careful there, Professor!
Merely my notebook, sir. Mr. Holmes, it is a dangerous habit to finger loaded firearms in the pocket of one's dressing gown.
As I said, I do know you, Professor.
Then you know I keep meticulous records. For example, I note that you crossed my path on the 4th of January. On the 23rd, you incommoded me. Oh, yes. By the middle of February, I was somewhat hampered in my plans. And at the end of March, your meddling was seriously inconveniencing. Now, at the close of April, I find your continual persecution places me in the most impossible situation.
Have you any suggestion to make?
I'm quite sure that a man of your intellect will see that if you pursue this matter, there can be but one outcome.
On that we agree. But as to the outcome itself, we remain at odds.
It has been an intellectual treat for me to see the way in which you have played our little game of chess. You hope to beat me. I tell you, you will never beat me. You must drop this. You really must, you know.
Really? Resign the game when I have you in check.
You overstate your position, sir. I see the board clearly, and you have no other move to make. I will take no pleasure in your demise, but I tell you this plainly. You must stand clear, Mr. Holmes, or be trod underfoot.
I'm afraid that our time is up, Professor. I can no longer neglect my more important business. You can see yourself out, I am sure.
Oh, a pity, a pity. I've attempted to be reasonable. If you believe you are clever enough to bring destruction upon me, then you know that I can and will do as much to you.
You have paid me several compliments, Professor Moriarty. Let me pay you one in return when I say that if I were assured of your destruction, then I would gladly accept my own.
I can promise you the one, but not the other.
Good day, Professor.
I believe the more proper word here, Mr. Holmes, is goodbye.
That was my singular interview with Professor Moriarty.
A most diabolical business, Holmes. Such gall. He just standing there.
Yes, Watson. But a man such as Moriarty does not let grass grow under his feet. Twice already today have his men attempted assault upon me.
What?
A two-horse van nearly ran me down on Welbeck Street.
I say.
Then on Trendle Lane, a brick came falling from the rooftops above, shattering not inches from my feet.
Oh, these are no mere coincidences.
No. So now you understand why I closed the shutters upon my arrival and wished to leave your house by some less conspicuous way than the front door.
Yes.
Do not look so glum, Watson. Despite his amazing intellect, Moriarty believes that he cannot fail. That is his weakness. And mark my words, it will be his downfall. Still, until Monday, I remain in a precarious position. There are sure to be more attempts upon my life.
I see that hiding is a reasonable plan of action, Holmes.
As my presence here is not necessary, I mean to disappear completely for a few days, then return to assist in the court convictions.
You will leave London.
I will leave England, and I would be most grateful if you would consider coming with me.
Of course. The practice is quiet. I have an accommodating neighbour. I should be glad to come.
Then we start from Victoria Station tomorrow morning on the Continental Express at precisely 7:40.
Excellent.
These are your instructions, and I beg you, my dear Watson, follow them to the letter.
All aboard! All aboard!
Where are you, Holmes?
Please board, sir. The train is departing.
Of course. One moment. Has anyone else boarded this coach?
I don't believe so, sir. All aboard! All aboard!
Come on, Holmes.
What's your step there, Signore?
My luggage is checked through to Paris, yes?
Yes, Signore. Here is your compartment.
Good day, English, sir.
Oh, yes, good day. Excuse me, purser, this coach. I say!
Fine day for train, yes?
I'm sorry, sir, but I'm preoccupied at the moment.
Oh, my dear Watson, it is no wonder that our European friends complain of a lack of English hospitality.
Holmes! Good heavens, how you startled me.
Please lean back away from the window, my friend. I have reason to believe that they are hot upon our trail. Ah! There is Moriarty himself.
Where?
There. He must be very concerned to be here in person. You see, Watson, even with all our precautions, we have cut it rather fine. Have you seen the morning paper?
No.
You haven't heard about Baker Street, then?
Baker Street?
They set fire to our rooms last night.
Good heavens, Holmes. Well, this is intolerable.
They must have lost my track completely last night, or they would not have returned to Baker Street searching for me. I assume they took the precaution of watching you, however. That is what has brought Moriarty to Victoria. You could not have made any slip in coming.
No. My luggage was sent, unmarked, by messenger last night. This morning I took the third random cab to Lowther Arcade, passed through in a roundabout manner, and found the carriage waiting on the other end as you described.
Did you recognize the coachman?
No, but it is as you said, he wore a black overcoat with a red-tipped collar.
It was my brother, Mycroft.
Oh.
But perhaps they were watching him too. Well, no matter. We must plan what we are to do about Moriarty now.
This train is an express with a direct connection to the boat. I should think we have shaken him off quite effectively.
Oh, Watson, did you not realize my meaning when I said that this man is on the same intellectual plane as myself? You do not imagine that if I were the pursuer, I would be baffled by so slight an obstacle?
No, not at all. What will he do?
What would I do?
Hire a private carriage and engine to follow.
Precisely, Watson. Precisely. This train stops at Canterbury, and after that we face at least a half-hour's delay with the boat at Dover. He will have time to catch us.
Well, then we must... What, Holmes?
We shall leave the train at Canterbury.
It was as Holmes said. As we prepared to leave Canterbury Station, Holmes grasped my arm and drew my attention to a thin spray of smoke rising from among the Kentish woods. A minute later, a carriage and engine could be seen flying along the open curve which leads to the station. We hardly had time to dash behind a pile of baggage when it passed with a rattle and a roar, beating a blast of hot air into our faces. We then made our way overland from Canterbury to the port of New Haven, and from there on to Europe. First to Brussels, then to Strasbourg, through Interlaken, and finally to the small Swiss village of Meiringen. It was there, upon our arrival late Monday afternoon, that Holmes received a telegram from Scotland Yard.
Oh, I might have known it. He has escaped arrest.
Moriarty was not taken.
No. They secured the whole of Moriarty's gang, with the exception of him, who is nowhere to be found. I should not have left England.
We should return immediately. Holmes,
Perhaps in a day or so, Watson.
do you not wish to return and find him, to present your case against Moriarty to the courts?
It is beyond all that now. Moriarty means to destroy me. That is what he will desire above all else, now that his occupation is gone. He said as much in our short interview at Baker Street. He will come after me eventually.
What do you plan to do, Holmes?
When he makes his move, I will have him, Watson.
Of course.
And as for now, let us find lodging for the night. Tomorrow, I plan to enjoy a little mountain air. The innkeeper was right, Watson. This is indeed a splendid trek. A place such as this, it clears the mind.
It has been quite some time since I was able to take in such a grand view.
I should think that just beyond this bend we shall have a clear view of the top of the falls.
Shall we press on then?
By all means. After you, Doctor.
Holmes! Are you all right?
I believe so.
Here, let me help you up.
Yeah. It's my ankle. Twisted, I'm afraid.
Sit back. Allow me to look at it.
I should prefer to consult you on more serious medical matters. It is a mere sprain, but I fear I will have trouble walking on it.
You can lean on me. I will help you back to the inn.
That would be good of you, Watson, but given the narrow and precarious nature of this trail, I should think it is safer to employ the assistance of another. I recall a farmer's house near the trailhead. I do believe there you will find a young gentleman of proper ability.
Of course. I shall return with help before you know it.
You are a good friend, Watson. You always have been.
I shan't be long, Holmes. Now don't go and try putting any weight on that leg. You sit still until I return.
My apologies, Watson, but I cannot keep the professor waiting.
Stop there, Mr. Holmes. Oh, I fully expected you to be accompanied by that bovine scribe of your past adventures.
I'm not pleased to deceive Dr. Watson, but I had no intention of risking his life. The matter at hand is between us alone, Moriarty.
Yes, it is. And where better than here to mark the fall of the great, late Sherlock Holmes?
You've come equipped with a revolver this time. You place me at a distinct disadvantage.
You have intruded into my life for far too long, and I have not the time nor patience to continue playing chess with you. Our game comes to an end.
You would shoot me, unarmed as I am.
This is check and mate.
No! I believe we play to a draw. No!
That is the last I saw of Sherlock Holmes, locked arm in arm with his mortal foe, toppling from the side of the trail and plunging into the swirling cauldron of Reichenbach Falls. How I came to witness these terrible events is easily told. After I had left Holmes near the top of the falls, I descended down through the river gorge towards the valley. I was fortunate to have quickly met a pair of young Austrians hiking the trail. I explained my need of their assistance, and we began to climb back towards the top. When I came to the place where I had left Holmes, he was not there, but I found his cap and pipe. I was not unduly alarmed until the very next moment when I heard the pistol shot ring out. I ran up the trail only to see my friend topple into the mists and fall from view into the turbulent waters below. When I reached the place where Holmes had fallen, I saw the muddy footprints where he and Moriarty had stood, the ruts and marks of their struggle, which ended at the very edge where they had plummeted to their deaths. There was nothing more to be done. Local authorities interviewed me and the case was quickly closed, after which I returned to London. With Holmes's meticulous notes, Moriarty's gang was convicted, but few facts came out about their terrible leader. It is my hope that this account will set the matter straight. These are the last words I shall recite about Sherlock Holmes, but each day as I look upon his cap and pipe placed on the mantel in my study, I will fondly recall the best and the wisest man I have ever known.
As Dr. Watson, Rob Soriano as Professor Moriarty, and featuring Geoff Arnold. Produced and directed by Glenn Carlson and the One Act Players.